Hello, everybody. Welcome back to part two of this evening's, as we record, Football Uncensored podcast with me, Rob Kirton, and John Sitton. We're going to get straight back into it and sort of conclude the FA Cup semi-final analysis from John, in particular Chelsea versus City, and Chelsea's tactics and where they went wrong, and where they should have gone to try and defeat City. So, John, over to you on that.
Yeah, no, I'll just to underpin what I said, Rob. I just think Chelsea are in a very similar situation to Manchester United in the respect that I don't think the money's been very well spent. Where the shape was concerned, when I talk about the setting up in a 5-2-3, it very easily evolves into what Chelsea are used to playing. I saw it under Frank, and then I think Tuchel. They had a formation that evolved very quickly into 3-4-3. And then if you really want to go and be bold, you could go 3-3-3-4 by just pushing the extra player forward and getting at Manchester City. Because I still maintain, listen, they've got world-class, like I said before, world-class players in every position, internationals in every position, a world-class coach, manager, whatever you want to call him, and world-class infrastructure. So whoever it is, to give yourself the best chance of getting something out of it, maybe getting off with not too much of a good hiding. In this case, a chance to salvage the season and get in a cup final, which they would have had a very good chance of winning because of the other two teams involved, all due respect. Then I think you've got to go for the throat, especially based on what they did in the week. But they gave City too much breathing space, glimmer of hope, something to hang on to. And I just don't think they approached the game in the right way in terms of the tempo and the formation. With regards to, I said it probably when I was still doing these with Lord Hudson and Don Shanks, long before I coined the phrase long before he brought it out, Gerard. I think the game's, a lot of it, one of the main ingredients, a big ingredient, is about distances. And that's where the 5 diamond 1 comes in. And if it's coached appropriately and correctly from a defensive and attacking point of view, it minimises the distances, gives you a tremendous amount of reinforcement going forward and a tremendous amount of cover and reinforcement when you're defending. And that's, I just wanted to say that. I just thought like someone should have sat down with them and thought, you know, it's a massive opportunity they've let through their grasp yesterday. But full marks to City, the unbelievable character and desire they showed for hanging on, really, and you know, the unbelievable appetite to try and salvage something. It's coming to something when we say, you know, they're salvaging their season with just a double. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
they got hold of it. They got hold of it and hung on. You know what I mean? Which full marks to them. But then you had Pep Guardiola afterwards talking about fixture congestion. I mean, it's a byproduct of success, I would imagine.
Yeah, I mean, I've not seen it, but he touched on it in the first episode tonight. He gave quite a monologue about it, didn't he? And bemoaning it, and he has a point if you sort of delve into the specifics of it a bit, because I think he was emphasising why City and Chelsea played on Saturday and United and Coventry played today, being Sunday as we record. Yet City had played Wednesday.
Yeah.
Was it Wednesday evening?
Yeah,
in the
Wednesday.
Champions League?
Yep.
Okay, you can't legislate for going to extra time and penalties, but they played Wednesday, and then they're playing 72 hours later on the Saturday when they could have played Sunday, and quite feasibly Coventry Man United could have played Saturday.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, totally.
The TV decisions were obviously made in advance before City played on Wednesday, but could they have changed it? Who knows? So on that, I think he's got a point.
Yeah.
On the whole, we play too many games is where I start to lose sympathy, I suppose, for want of a better way to put it. So on this specific week, I agree with Pep, but the whole while we play too many games, I'm I don't hold a lot of truck with that argument because a lot of clubs, especially the big ones, bring it on themselves with the pre-season tours and all this, that, and the other, and not giving the players the time off.
I agree.
Like you say, they're a victim of their own success with
Yeah, yeah,
longevity in the competitions. So be it. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, you've obviously managed and played.
yeah, yeah. I mean, not to that level. Even way back when the pre-season trips weren't that. I mean, the successful Chelsea side before me, late '60s, early '70s, they'd done all your Bermudas and your Jamaicas and ended with end of season trips, and they might play a Mickey Mouse friendly, which they wouldn't take too seriously and just avoid injury. You know what I mean? Um, yeah, I mean, you look at the players being interviewed and you listen to him being interviewed, and early on when it's everything's hunky dory, they've just come out of a nice summer break, and they more or less say throughout the season everything they enter they want to win. And they approach it that way, which is commendable. And then inevitably they become victims of their own success. I do happen to believe that these people in sort of rooms with running buffets at Wembley or wherever, which I know a few people have been there for disciplinary hearings, and they said it's unbelievable. They've got like a long table, the full length of the room, full of the finest food that money can buy. There's a running buffet. These guys that sit there and drink their mineral water and have their beautiful lunches with a glass of wine and a coffee afterwards. Maybe they should take into account, well, hold on, sit here in the Champions League. We've got to cater for the worst case scenario. Think of the manager and the players. Think of the travelling time, etc., etc. Think of the recovery period. Yeah, maybe we should put City in the fixture on the Sunday, and the other two who have had a week off, by the way. They last played the previous Saturday. Let them play again on the Saturday because they've had a 4 weeks break. So maybe someone should have had a little bit more foresight. Having said that, I totally agree with you. If you're a successful side, there's a few things that come into it here, Rob. One is the amount of money available, particularly to the likes of the Manchester City manager, with regards to buying players. So unlike a lot of other clubs, you can more or less say, with the versatility of his players to play in a lot of different positions, or with the versatility of his squad, and with the quality of the squad, he's more or less going, if he wanted to make more than 4 changes yesterday, he could go like for like and it wouldn't affect him. Okay. That's the first thing. Second thing is, why go on unnecessary, unless it's to massage the ego of the owner, one of the owners, why go on, yeah, okay, warm weather training. Yeah. So that's a jolly up. They've had a mid-season break and they went to the Middle East and they said it was like warm weather training. But I'm telling you, once the session's over, it's a good opportunity to, like I used to take in pre-season. For me, what pre-season was all about was getting your fitness level up, getting match fit, getting into the structure and the organisation of the thing, making sure you're match sharp, and then the rest of the time was about relaxing and sleeping and eating well, to build up your athleticism and strength. So if they do that mid-season, then there's no real excuse, unless the players, which has been well documented, go a little bit overboard with some of the partying. Okay, and I'm not going to name any names, we know who they are. And then you've got this nonsensical thing with regards to now banning replays, and yet the top clubs, there's a couple of things at play here very quickly. One, I think it highlights how little power the FA have got now. Two,
Yeah.
it's all about the Premier League. Three, it's not just about the Premier League, it's about the big players, the main players, the so-called top six or the top echelon within the Premier League. Okay. Which this year where maybe there's a chance that that structure might be broken a little bit. But sticking to specifics, why would you go on one of these elongated pre-season tours to Australasia, or the other side, west coast of America? Or why would you go on a post-season tour to play a game to satisfy or suit your sponsors in front of a not particularly enthusiastic crowd for money. And then to the detriment of lower league clubs who rely on maybe snatching an unbelievable historical victory, a la Sutton,
Maidstone.
Coventry versus Sutton years ago, right? Coventry had won the cup a year or two previously, got knocked out by non-league. So I'm going back a long way, but it's just the one that just come to the front of me thing, right? So it's
Yeah,
like a lifeline for a non-league club, or a financial lifeline for a lower division club. But from articles I've read, they've been more or less bribed by receiving the EFL have received $500 million
yeah.
from the thing. So like, look, you ain't going to have a cup replay, but keep your trap shut. Here's $500 million to share out amongst you. You know what I mean? So inevitably, what it comes down to probably one of the most important, if not the most important part of a football club, which are the supporters who are affected. You know, they're missing out on the romance of maybe snatching an unbelievable historical cup win, and then say like a really lowly non-league club getting to the third round and drawing a high-ranking league club, and then maybe getting a draw. So having accumulated a nice few quid on the way, the chance to snatch a draw, and then say, "Oh no, all right, what we do, we'll play away." Even one of my old clubs did it, but not so long ago. They had £1 million out of it, Leighton Orient. The story filtered down from the dressing room. Don't ask me how, but Ern had said, "You get me a replay. I'm not interested in beating Arsenal. Get me a replay, and I'll take you all to Vegas," which was good business. Got £1 million out of the replay, which, by the way, no one knows where that went or what it was spent on, and it probably cost him 25 grand to take him to Vegas. Yeah,
Sure,
so
have a shrewd idea where it went.
yeah, where it went, yeah, but well, yeah, who knows? I mean, at the time, Russell Slade was going great guns previously. It might have been him out, it might have been someone else. I just thought, well, now if you reinvest in the squad, they'd already got off to a flyer that season. I think it was record number of opening wins, and they could if they reinforced the squad in January, they could have got promoted into what they now call the Promised Land, which is the Championship. But at the time, maybe they didn't want it. Maybe they weren't thinking big enough. But I think the new guy might be thinking along different lines. You know what I mean? We'll see. But I'm just saying, for instance, it's an unbelievable cash injection that's been ruined, and then league clubs in the not non-league clubs, it don't really filter down to them. But the EFL have received 500 million.
I
Yeah,
would say there's two sides to every story, and whatever you read in the media, naturally, I think most people, I certainly am, you're a skeptic, and you're wise to it a little bit. There's always, it's always generally a subjective look, unless you get lucky and you get a decent journo or a decent whatever, writing a balanced article. So you always have that in your head that, is it quite as bad as this element of the media are making it out to be?
yeah,
But either way, at face value for me, it's a disgraceful decision, and
yeah,
without regard for certainly the lower echelons of the EFL and the non-league in particular. But
yeah.
like you
Well, I
say,
think,
just
yeah, like they're businessmen, and they've gone, what we do, we fight one battle at a time, or we won't pick a battle that we can't win. So that the next thing is they'll go back to that, which the European Super League. That'd be one of the next things they'll go back to.
100%, yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
That'll rear its head again.
yeah, yeah.
Couldn't agree more.
Yeah, when you look
Just
at like different managers, and then you look at, say, like the Premier League, you've got, like, say, the three leagues within a league, and then certain managers, they've had their noses put out of joint in terms of the pecking order, and that maybe their time's run its course. You know what I mean? I'm just thinking, I'm just saying it off the bat. You know what I mean? You just think that's a bit random where that's come from, because I was looking at things today and I'm thinking, you know what? If you're a coach or manager now, you just got to play the players and the clubs at their own game, because sometimes you can outstay your welcome. And what made me think of that was me second son-in-law, who popped round to see us, because his wife is she's on duty today until late tonight. My second girl, and we were talking about West Ham. I just said, maybe that's it now. Maybe his time's up after getting a good hiding at Palace 5-2. But from a manager coach's point of view, it's not a case of wanting someone to get sacked. It's a case of like, if you could have your time again, how would you play it? And then I think even the way I would sell myself in terms of an interview, initially you want to come in, change a couple of things, freshen things up, maybe add some, like I had to drastically in a massive way, infrastructure and organisation. But then to keep it fresh, along the lines of what Roman did at Chelsea, you know what I mean? He rotated the managers every 2.5, 3 years. So I'm thinking to myself, from a manager's point of view, it might be beneficial now for managers for some time to start thinking along the lines of, I'm only going to stay here for 2 years, or maybe they get the job at Christmas, or uh, Howard Wilkinson famously called the Ides of March, which was October, when they start to cull one or two managers because the first 15 games haven't looked particularly good and they're at the bottom of the league, and someone pushes the panic button. So someone might take over in the October, the November, or the December. I think you should just give yourself 2.5 years. They're gonna move you on before they change the club. They're gonna move you on before they change the players. So what you might as well do is come in, try and make an impact, and then go. And that's what I was thinking, because I think it's got to a stage where there's a few outstayed their welcome. I know we're going all over the place, but I think it all ties in with like results what will happen now until the end of the season. Because I think you're going to see one or two good hidings, because this is the time of the season. I've been inside dressing rooms where at the top level, all the way down to the fourth division, players start to think about Ibiza, wherever they go. I mean, like I
Yeah,
saw one player who don't want to play for England walking around with his plucked eyebrows and his speedos on, and the budgie smugglers holding his girlfriend's hand with his shades on. You know what I mean? Not worried about fingers, just worried about hiring a private yacht for the day in Ibiza. You know what I mean? A lot of players, their attention starts to turn to that, and you'll see people, they start getting a few good hidings. There'll be a lot of goals now.
yeah, no, I agree. It's definitely from memory and
Yeah, like it was
a
too
long
much to
way.
ask, Rob. It's too much to ask. You've got to, it's like I used to say, you've got to remain professional. You've got to remain, keep that same intent when you go on the field, the same intensity, the same tempo. And they said I was too intense. But I'm only thinking how I was from when I was a player. From the first ball that was kicked in August to the last ball that was kicked in the first week of May, because I never got to a cup final, right? Although we did get to won the
Playoffs.
playoffs. Yeah, we got the promotion that I kept in, right? To that last ball that was kicked, right the way up till Alan Comfort was taken off in helicopter to go to his wedding, I maintained the same level of commitment to training and playing, you know. So I just think it's good enough for everybody, and that's how it should be.
No, I
I'll tell
couldn't
you what's
agree
going to
more,
be
to be
interesting.
honest.
Tottenham now. Tottenham. Yeah.
Yeah, Spurs have got, well, they've got the most games of anyone left to play in the
Right.
Premier League. They've got half a dozen left.
Okay.
That's one or two less than everyone else. We talked very briefly off air. They've got Chelsea very imminently.
Massive
That
London
might
derby. You know what?
massive.
Sorry to intercede. That's Chelsea's game in hand. So if they go free, but like win, and then win the game in hand, they can actually prove me wrong and get
Yeah,
inside the top eight, maybe even inside the top six. But they've got to go, which I find I'm going to find hard to believe. I think they've got to go from now to the end of the season unbeaten, if my memory serves me right. But if Tottenham's
yeah,
one of them, that tells me Tottenham's got not only their own fate in their hands, they've got other clubs' fate in their hands.
yeah, very much so. Well, you say Chelsea could, if Chelsea win, they could unbelievably push for fifth or sixth. If Spurs win, that's one of their two games now they've got on Villa, who currently hold fourth place, and Villa are six ahead of Spurs. So you don't need to be a football expert to deduce it 2 wins, and that's Spurs level with Villa. But the thing we want to talk about that you hinted at is in the next 3 to 4 weeks, the massive part Spurs can play in the title race. And we're
Yeah.
not talking about an unmotivated team here, as we've just outlined. They've got a lot to play for, but they play Arsenal at home,
Oh,
Liverpool away, and
oh,
City at home, I think in 3 consecutive weeks.
wow. Yeah. And that
could
could be,
be.
yeah, that could be three unbelievable results that puts the cat amongst the pigeons, or three good hidings. Yeah,
Yeah,
three beatings. You know what I mean? Yeah, because he's. I'll be honest. He needs. They want. This is it. So you see what I've always said. You've got to have tactically adaptable. You've got to be one step ahead of the game as a coach. You've got to be thinking ahead, short term, medium term, long term. But you've also got to have very well educated, which is what I wanted to set up, and I did set up. I tried to set up unbelievably educated players who you go. You know what? You're looking to go like always. Rehearse it once. It's in there. That's when it did get rehearsed. It didn't get rehearsed very much at Millwall. Only when the manager came on the thing, it never got rehearsed at all at Gillingham. And the latter day, it didn't get rehearsed at all at Chelsea. It was everything off the cuff, which was confirmed when I watched the old games on YouTube. And it got rehearsed relentlessly at Leyton Orient under Brian Eastick. You know what I mean? So you do it. So picking up the thread of what I was saying, he's going to have to change his tactics because he won't be able to play eye line against Liverpool or City. Even Arsenal, because Arsenal are
probably
good
not
on
Arsenal either.
they're all good on the break. So the closer they play to the halfway line, the better it'd be for the opposition. So I think he's got to think about defending a little bit deeper. If the ball changes hands, recovery runs, bodies behind the ball, concede the ball maybe. But if he goes with the press and he plays a high line, all three are the type of teams that can go pass, bomb out, and
Uh,
that's what they've got
like
to
you
be
say,
careful of and get punished.
yeah, like you say, it could be three absolute drubbings, and who knows? Chelsea could do it to him as well, but potentially. But
Yeah,
um, at the moment in the title race, Arsenal play again. I think before Liverpool and City. Arsenal obviously won yesterday, as we briefly alluded to. They're now top. I think goal difference out of Liverpool and City are. I think it's 2 points back, but with the game in hand. But I think Arsenal play possibly Tuesday. City play City and Liverpool play Wednesday or Thursday or both. So, but Arsenal are home to Chelsea. Liverpool go to Everton, so Merseyside derby, and Everton, as we might touch on in a minute, have got a fair bit to play for still.
is that at the Emirates?
And
The Arsenal game at the Emirates?
Arsenal game is at the Emirates, so you got to favour Arsenal
Yeah,
really.
yeah,
And City, I think, are away at Brighton, and then you're into the next weekend, and then the big games that we start to mention. So,
mm,
but Arsenal could be what 5 points ahead of City, albeit having played 2 games more before City
yeah.
play again. So
So
where would you rather be?
I've got bittersweet memories of that fixture because I played at the old Highbury and we got a good hiding on the Good Friday, and people were looking at me as I just turned 19, and they just thought they're looking well, maybe he's the weak link. Okay. And on the day we got hammered 5-2, but ironically, I wasn't the weak link. The weak link, which I've since confirmed in terms of replaying stuff in my mind and being a coach and a manager, they were in other areas of the field. And I'm telling you now, it'll be the same on Tuesday. I think Arsenal will have too much in their locker for Chelsea. They should
Yeah,
do. They should have too much in their locker from because I just don't think Chelsea is good enough at the back. And that game Saturday. Um, Maybe if City weren't involved against in the week, I think that they could have been exposed a lot more. It's all about serendipity. Sometimes it's about serendipity. Having watched a couple of interviews recently, I'm looking at, yeah, maybe not enough front, maybe not enough kudos. Definitely the wrong place at the wrong time. Serendipity, call it what you will. I just thought to myself, I can't believe it. How that certain people have come out of it, having to quote one, yeah, I've done all right. You know what I mean? And I look at it. I'm not going to give names and all that, but I just thought myself one near enough put me to sleep, and the other one was like the gibbering wreck who looked like he's relied too much on the drink. Sorry to have to say it, but he looks, you know what I mean? I'm looking at that. It's all about circumstances. It's all about circumstances. Circumstances at the moment, they've suited Pochettino, right? But what I suspect is if he's not allowed to get on with it, it could go from bad to worse. Or he should be allowed to get on with it, and let's see what he's really made of in terms of restructuring the club from top to bottom. The problem he's going to have, and he's played it very cute, like I said in the last podcast, in terms of his temperament. The problem he's going to have is if he does want to rotate players and get new players in, is I think I also mentioned it before. You're going to have players on big fat contracts that other clubs won't be able to afford.
Yeah,
Ridiculous
yeah,
in length, ridiculous in reward, and ridiculous in length.
yeah. It's going to be a tough off season one way or the other for Chelsea.
Yeah,
Other end of the table, we have spoken about this before, and it's kind of it has yo-yoed a bit over the last few weeks.
yeah.
Weeks ago we wrote Sheffield United and Burnley right off, and I think it's fair to say Sheffield United are stuffed now.
Now
But
they're gone. Yeah, they're gone.
before the last week or so's results, I think I'd say there was a good half a dozen teams still in for the last place for relegation. But this last week, uh, Palace have pulled themselves away from it. You said they smashed West Ham 5-2 this afternoon. They're pretty much safe. Brentford, with their win yesterday, they give Luton a hammering. They've moved out of it. Everton beat Forest this afternoon, which is a big one at the bottom. And then Burnley obviously took the points off Sheffield United yesterday. So Burnley have kind of put themselves back in with a bit of a shout.
Yeah, they
They're,
have. I noticed that last night when they done the thing on Match of the Day. They showed the league tables and all that. I thought they could, by in some miraculous fashion, still climb out of it, but I don't think they will. And inevitably, what he'll do, he'll go down as some sort of martyr, which is amazing to me. That people they choose when they want to be, they could choose to be either forensic and damning, or they can make someone a martyr because he's liked and he has kudos. The bottom line is, like I said before, he'd been a victim of this idealism, which a lot of people have. Sticking to your guns, and in the end, you can become your own worst enemy. Sheffield United, Burnley, very similar. They let in a lot of soft goals, and they're not very good up front. Although latter day Burnley have been a bit more, showed a bit of improvement going forward, and a bit of improvement with regards to scoring. Okay, then you've got Luton, who made a fist of it for a while. They got a good hiding yesterday. I honestly believe I think the last place is out of Luton and Forest. I think Everton are fine. Always said they'd be fine for the simple reason the dice factor. That not only they've got the players, but what he's done is he's got the players together and given them a structure to work to and stuff that he believes in, and he stuck to his beliefs and he's tried and trusted. If anything, like I said before, I think it shows the minor miracle we're looking at Burnley's situation, the minor miracle he performed at Burnley while he was there, keeping them in the Premier League for consecutive seasons. Now he's at Everton, and circumstances beyond his control. He would have been a lot higher up the league with the other 10 points, probably sniffing around 11th or 12th. Off the top of my head, I don't know, but yeah, I always thought they'd be all right. I just think the last place, I'll still stick with the three that come up, but the last place, I think it's out of Luton and Forest.
yeah, Forest could still drop in. There's still financial fair play that could potentially either improve things or make things worse for both Everton and Forest. If we're again relying on the media, the Forest appeals I think is due to be heard this coming week, and Everton have still got an appeal in against. I think they claw back a further 2 points because they clawed back two from their 10.
Yeah,
And I think I'm right in saying they've got an appeal in to claw back another two. So
yeah,
that's which seems seems unfair on the players. This certainly this late in the season, but that's what it is. So we could Forest could get Forest could suddenly claw some points back, but
yeah,
very very close. There's still a couple of games I think I haven't quite gone into the fixtures forensically as at the top, but I think there's still I'm right in saying a few occasions where the bottom few clubs play each other. I think Burnley, if it goes that far, Burnley are home to Forest on the last day of the season. What price
yeah,
winner, fourth from
yeah.
bottom takes all.
Well, what they've got to do is Forest got. I'm sure they have employed top class lawyers, no matter what it costs, because whatever it costs, it ain't going to be anywhere near what it costs if they get relegated.
No,
Yeah, same with Everton. You know what I mean? Which I'm sure that they have. They've got the top drawer legal legals on it.
I agree with you. I think Everton will. and I think we both said it on air in previous episodes. Everton will survive. I think it's very much in their hands. I know they've got, I think, a couple of home games against teams in and around them. At Forest today, so which they've already won. So
Yeah. And I
we
think
shall see. But
with the financial fair play, the shenanigans with there's a few clubs around there. They're going to have a look. They should be their board or their chairman should be having a little look at the way their season's gone and say this year we're very very lucky boys. We've got to change things. We've got to do something about it because the only reason they've avoided, I'm not going to name clubs, but the only reason these certain clubs have avoided being anywhere near the relegation is because of the idealism and maybe some of the poor results initially, getting used to the Premier League, of the bottom three at the moment. One was ready made, which is the one at the bottom, Sheffield United. I've been there. It's a recipe for disaster. Don't matter what infrastructure or organisation you put in place. They conceded too many bad goals, and they never had enough of a goal threat going forward themselves. So, like I said, that's a recipe for disaster. It didn't take no working out. But when you look at the others with point deductions, they're one of the reasons that up certain other clubs, they're one of the only reasons that they're not there flirting with relegation. Believe me, because I'm looking at the like general overview, and then those three leagues within a league, and you should be, if you want to achieve something. Like I said, was one of my biggest criticisms actually when I was floating about. I thought one of the biggest crimes a club can commit is to show lack of ambition. And I just think there's too many settling for survival. That's my belief. Keep us in, just keep us in. Yeah, that was my remit. Yeah, just to keep us in. No, that's wrong. To me, that's wrong. It's wrong for the club, wrong for the mindset of the supporters and the players.
yeah.
There we are.
But
Yeah, I'll tell you, Spurs are going to be. You think what you said about Spurs, it keeps playing on my mind. They could have such a happening season, or you know what I mean, or they could go like the phrase Spursy.
yeah,
You know what I mean? And Villa could nick the last thing there, that last little thing above them. Yeah,
it'd be
it's good.
well deserved in my opinion if Villa get into fourth, especially the way. I mean, they had a great result last. Was it last week before? I can't remember. Obviously, beating Arsenal. It was at the
Yeah,
Emirates as well, wasn't it?
yeah. Week before. Yeah, week before last. Yeah, yeah.
Obviously, you've got the link where Emery had a little spell at Arsenal. It didn't quite work out. So, yeah, in my opinion, Villa make it well deserved. And at the moment, I think I asked you earlier, would you rather have the points or the two games in hand? So you've got Villa 6 points clear of Spurs. Spurs got the
Points,
two games in hand.
points,
Points, yeah,
points all day long. Points.
got to be, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. Anything can happen with the games in hand. And when I look at the games in hand, they don't look up that much to me. You know what I mean? It really and truly is a make or break situation now for Spurs. And I'll be honest with you, some of the stuff I hear, it don't bode well. It don't bode well. And I just think like now it boils down to the clubs that really want it. Now, I'm going to be sketchy here, right? The clubs that really want it and the clubs that are really professional and the clubs that have got players that are willing to sacrifice and work really hard behind the scenes, right, are the ones that tend to do well. And it's just like some sort of mentality. But yeah, I think the run is going to be very interesting, Rob. Yeah, going to be
Yeah,
very interesting.
we'll
Yeah,
certainly have a fair bit to talk about
yeah,
over the next
definitely.
few
Yeah,
weeks.
yeah. Even a week coming. Yeah. We are.
We'll have to squeeze some in between your squeeze some in now you're back out driving again.
Yeah, going back to work. Yeah. Good bit of news. Actually, like there might be they do both. You know, follow us on the pod and on the social media and all that. I'll be honest, I can't. There's certain people I can't thank them enough. They've contacted me on social media. They've DM'd me. I've had a couple of phone calls. One from a dear friend, and offering me help, and I just said, no, I'm all right. You know what I mean? But the words of support and empathy and encouragement, you know what I mean? I've been overwhelmed. It's been fantastic. But yeah, no, everything, justice prevailed, put it that way. I
Excellent.
knew I was right.
Yeah. And that's well, there's two great notes to finish on. So thank you very much from me. Please tune in, watch these two. They'll be uploaded soon, and we'll be back soon. Good night from me.
And from me, good night, Rob. Thanks for your time, mate. Good night, everyone. Thanks for watching. Bless.
Cheers all.
Cheers, mate.